Hi everyone, it's Michelle Lloyd here, founder of United Art Space. This week is Your Art Matters week, and I have been featuring guests who have been coming in each day to share their stories, and it's been going so well. We've had lots of people just sharing their journeys, how they feel the fear as artists, why art is so important. So today I've asked some of my members from the Hub to come in and share, just like we did on Monday. Everyone loved that session. So we're doing the same kind of thing, hearing different stories from people. So the Hub members are here. Actually, let me just take you all off mute just so you can just say hello to everyone, and we'll go through. There we go. They can all just say hello. We can all hear you now.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
So what I'm going to do is just go around each person, and we'll just talk about, what you kind of do, where you're from, because I know we've got members from around the world. And then we'll just have a chat about the challenges as artists, but why art is so amazing. So I'm going to start at the top. Thomasina, I'm just going to unmute you, lovely. Hello. Everyone's saying hello.
Hi.
Let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. So Thomasina, let us know a little bit where you're from and kind of your journey as an artist to where you are now.
Yeah, well, I'm Irish. I'm living in the centre of Ireland now at the moment. I was in Canada and I just returned 2 years ago. So, yeah, what do I talk about now? It's like at the moment I'm in a kind of a still place. Just looking at where I'm going with my art. I've always had art right through my life. I was actually thinking about this there yesterday, right through like school, and then I have a background in industrial design, and then I went and did interior design, and I set up my own business doing the interior design, and I did illustration where I would do perspective drawings, interiors and exteriors. So the illustrations would be for housing developments, for auctioneers, road signage and brochures. It's all freehand. I'm not a techie person at all. Even when I was doing the industrial design, I used to just leave the CAD classes, and the guys would say to me, "You're never going to get a job. You're never going to get a job. You need CAD, you need computers and everything." And I said no. And after that, I actually got a job working for a Christian's kitchen company, and the Irish Christians of Ireland or whatever. And it was their policy not to use computers. So I thought, brilliant, this is just down my alley. But I left there and I went to Australia, and I worked for Sydney Kitchens, and I did illustrations for shop companies. So art has always been in my life the whole way through, and I've always kind of worked for myself. I've worked for myself. Kind of 50-50, but I'd say in the last 15 years, definitely, I've worked for myself. I've done window painting, I've delved into everything, and sign writing, gold leaf gilding, and now I did an exhibition about 15 years ago, and the name of it was Back to Source. It was a group exhibition, and I just thought, back to source, okay, what will I do here? So I said, back to source. Sure, there was nothing in the beginning, just the earth. So I just started playing around with the earth and nature, and I did a piece, and I really enjoyed doing it. And then I went to Canada and ended up actually living up in the mountain and beside a ski hill, and it was all nature, surrounded by nature, in a house with a basement, a garage. I had my studio there. And I said, right, here we go. And I just started making up my own boards and actually doing nature, and doing shows, Christmas shows, exhibitions or whatever. And that went good, did a lot of commissions. And now I'm back in Ireland with no studio. I have sheds, but it's too cold. I'm in Ireland and they're wet and damp and everything. And even collecting nature, it's very hard to dry and preserve things, And I'm just looking now at where I'm going, whether I'm going to actually explore with encaustic stuff like with wax, or whether I look at resin, and but don't lose the nature thing, because my thing is no paint. And when people hear art but no paint, what's that all about, And that's where my story starts. And they always ask, how did you get into this? And I always come up with the exhibition back to source, you know. So it's a story, and that's what kind of has led me here, really.
Amazing. So, well, you've had a really colourful career by the sounds of it, and so now it's all about you just focusing on yourself and your why, and you're working through the 7 keys, I imagine, and it's getting back in touch with, you know, why those materials and.
Yeah, and with the 7 keys, Michelle, like I listened to your videos just back in lockdown, and I heard the first one, and then second, I just actually made it my way to listen at 11 o'clock. And by the third one, I said, yeah, I'm joining this. You know, I need a tribe. I need people. I need creative people, because I'm here myself, you know, I'm a 6-year-old. So I need I need inspiration and like-minded people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of spurs me on as well, to move.
Yeah.
Not stay stagnant, and just even to come up with different ideas or to look at things differently.
Yeah.
And with the 7 keys, it's like I didn't print them off. I didn't go into them straight away, because the mindset one kind of scared me. I was like, no, I'm not going in. That could be too deep. God knows what that's going to bring up. You know, I don't know if I'm able for this, you know. And I left it for about a month, and then I printed them off, and then I did it, the fixed and the growth mindset, and I thought that was easy. Then I realized there was another 2 sessions onto it, you know, and okay, time now to like be serious about this, you know.
I like to reel you in slowly.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
That's brilliant. I think you're so right about the community, and this is something that, you know, I hear day in and day out, because it is an amazing, amazing, amazing community. And now more than ever, I feel like, especially since the lockdown, people in our community are having so much success. And, you know, and I was talking to Marita about this, about the definition of success, actually, because, you know, for some it is about making a living, and some are selling, but for others it's actually about just actually finding their voice, and being brave enough to be like, yeah, this is me. And as we spoke to Paul on Tuesday, was it, you know, he was saying that, you know, for a long time he's struggled to just be himself as an artist. So that is massive success, isn't it, to just move into that alone. But you're right in that when we see it all happening in the group, it does spur you on.
Yeah.
I loved as well what you said about at the beginning of your, or I can't remember what stage in your career, but being told that you need to have CAD, you won't be able to do it if you don't. And I just think that anyone listening, if you share your ideas with people, there are ways that you can do things, and there's no doubt that having those CAD abilities can help. But I remember being told, my art space will never work. You know, your idea, it won't happen. And I was asking for advice from people. And loads of people in the industry said that to me, it just won't work. And I think sometimes you'll hear that from people, their opinions of, you need this, you need that, it won't work. But you know, if you're really passionate about something, you'll find a way.
Go and be a nurse and get a pensionable job, you know.
Right, I'm going to move on to Rebecca. I'm just going to unmute you, Rebecca. It's lovely to see you again. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, hello.
So I was just going to say, you introduce yourself, but also you've got an amazing journey to share, haven't you? In terms of, you know, when you joined as I don't know if it was a beginner, but definitely a beginner in the sense of, I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what I'm doing. To where you are now, your work is incredible. Yeah. So I'm going to let you talk about that.
So I joined in January, so not that long ago, and I'd had a couple of, like, you know, commissions. I'd done a couple of illustrations for people, because I've sort of been doing a bit of illustration, and I'd been doing a bit of painting, and I'd done multiple courses. I'd done portrait, I'd done oil painting, I'd done still life, all sorts of stuff, and I wasn't really sure where I was going. And then found the hub and Michelle, and since then I've just really focused in on my painting. And just over the last couple of about a month or so, I've found a love for abstract painting. So before I was sort of doing a little bit of abstract, a little bit of just landscape, realistic landscapes in oils. But then I did like the Find Your Joy Taster course with Louise Fletcher, who really inspires me, and I've just realised that I just love making really expressive, bold, colourful marks, and using all sorts of different materials and stuff to do that. So that's my journey. So now I do. I'm inspired sort of by the landscapes around me, and I love autumn. So I've been doing a few little bits for autumn. And Jane Powell bought one of my paintings the other day, so I'm going to post that later. She saw it on Instagram. She said she loved it. How much is it? Because I haven't started putting prices on my work yet, so that's my next sort of stage. I've been a bit scared, not sure how much to price and stuff. So, but yeah, she saw it and she's like, "How much is it?" And I'm like, "Oh." So, yeah, so that was great. So, yeah, that's where I am.
Well, you need to do the
commission to start later as well for a friend.
That's so good. Well, you need to do the pricing lessons in the hub now. So
yeah, I've done it. I've done a little bit, but I keep sort of stopping and starting. And I've got the formula and stuff, and I started having a look at that and stuff. So I have started that, and I'm feeling more confident in pricing. And my friend across the road, she bought a painting of mine, which she just saw gathering dust in my garage a while back, and I put a price on that, and she snapped it up. So I'm starting to realise that my art is worth something, even if I don't think it is. So yeah.
The thing is, as well, Rebecca, what I've noticed working with you is, when you joined in January, I think I could see that you didn't know which direction to go in.
Yeah.
What I admire about you is that you have dedicated that time, a big chunk of time, to play.
Yeah.
And that's a really brave thing to do as an artist, because especially when you want the results and you want to start selling now, and people want to jump ahead through the 7 keys and go, where can I start putting myself on social media? Where can I start doing this? And you kind of work through the process, and you've taken your time through that why and the what, and exploring yourself as an artist and practicing.
I think when you set up those workshops though during lockdown, Michelle, that's what clicked for me. I was like, this is what I need to do. I need to sort of just play and experiment and not worry about the results, because I think that's when it sort of made me realise. So then I although I had 2 kids to look after during lockdown, I sort of took time to just, even if it was just 15 minutes, just go into my studio and just bang out just some experimental things and just play and just have fun. And now I actually approach that with every bit of work I do. It's just an experiment for me, because I think that's when I do my best work, is when I'm just playing. Because when Jane, I just got a bit of scrap of paper or whatever, or just a bit of gessoed paper, which I'd done, and Jane just thought it was amazing, and bought it. So I'm realizing now that actually my best work is when I'm just playing and not worrying about the results. So
there's so many lessons in what you've just said, because I think one of them is making that time to play, and it's a brave thing to do as an artist when you're looking for results all the time. And one thing that has come from that, which I've noticed in your work, is confidence. Your work, the latest piece that I saw, I was like, wow, it just looks so confident. Everything has come together in terms of, visual language, your tones, the mark making, the colours that you've used. And you can tell that you have been, consistently practicing that, and it pays off. And I think it's a credit to you. So, although it feels in those beginning stages like you're not getting anywhere because you're playing and it's not anything, it really does pay off in the long run, and you're a great example of that. So well done for that. And now I feel like that is what people have seen in your work, isn't it? That it comes back to the point we were saying this earlier in the week, that people feel like it should be a struggle, and actually the work that just flows out of you really quickly, it's like that everyone's loving. And so that's great.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Okay, wonderful. Right, I'll come back to you, but I'm going to move on to Jennifer. Let me just put you on mute, and I'm just going to unmute Jennifer. Let me just see where you are in the stream. There you go. Oh, it says that you're on mute, Jennifer. So I think you need to unmute yourself somehow. It says that you're on mute. Here we go.
Unmuted.
Yay! How are you, Jennifer? Lovely to see you.
You too. Thank you.
So tell everyone a little bit about,
I'm good.
about where you're from and your journey into the arts and what kind of art you're making now.
Oh, you're completely breaking up. I have a really bad connection. Can you say it again?
Yeah, sure. If you could just let everyone know where you're based and a little bit about your journey so far and where you are now in your art.
Yeah, sure. See, I'm American, but I live in Sweden, and I've been here about 8 years. I'm bad, so I don't know if you guys can hear me or if I'm completely
It's a bit
breaking up.
patchy, yeah. Yeah, keep going. We'll see how it goes, but it is a little bit patchy.
Okay. Otherwise, I can try and connect from my phone instead, but I'll try this. Anyway, I grew up with both my mother and my grandfather being professional artists. They both had, I guess, official training, fine arts backgrounds. So I never really felt good enough when I was growing up. I was constantly comparing myself, and I had an art teacher when I was young who wasn't very, she wasn't that good at building up the best in people either. So it kind of forced me to stay away from art. I didn't want to paint. I didn't want to draw. And instead I started moving towards things, arts and crafts. And then when I first moved to Sweden, I was really lucky because I got the opportunity to teach some workshops, and I got to do it in several different countries on altered books. And so I played with that for a while. I was making jewelry for a while and selling some of that. And then my daughter was born, and I did nothing, and everything was put away in boxes for years and years and years. Now that my daughter is 12, I think I started again maybe when she was 10. And then I finally decided, forget, I'm not going to worry about what anyone else thinks. I'm going to pick up the paintbrushes and the pencils and just draw. And whatever I come up with, I come up with. And then I started to take a ton of classes, mostly online, a couple in person. And and then recently, I lost my mom 6 months ago, and that was a huge, huge change for me. And then with COVID, I also lost my job, and I'm a single mom, and I was feeling really, paralyzed, I guess, spending a lot of time just sitting on the sofa and crying. And in the meantime, I have a studio. I just don't really go into it. I was using it for mainly storage. But I finally decided, no, I need to work through this with mom through art. And I cleared out the studio and got back to it. And I swear, just about that time, Michelle, I saw that you were having the workshop. So it was absolutely perfect timing. And I think working through the workshop, I mean, there was no way I wasn't going to join. Even though I don't have any income, it's like I actually paid for the year because I wanted to commit to it. And I was afraid if I just did it month by month if I had a bad month, I would cancel.
Yeah.
So I've gone through a few of the steps, and I think the why was so eye-opening to me. I had started creating these women that were it's very loosely done. It's mixed media. I use a lot of pen and graphite and watercolors as well. And then sometimes I'll add acrylic or pens or whatever. And I couldn't really understand where these women were coming from because I had never done anything like that before. And when I was doing the why, I started to understand my reason behind them. And more than that, I decided to take the next step with them. So I've got these women that are kind of, fuzzy and out of focus, a little bit filtered. they usually look a little bit sad, I think. You know, you feel like there's something missing from their story. And I attach one eye to them. That's a more realistic drawing. And my reasoning behind that is that when you look at the world today, you look at social media, you look at the pressures of life in general, we are expected to live up to such high standards, things that are not necessarily even possible, especially when you look at social media and everyone's posting pictures of, you know, their perfect life with their perfect house and their perfect children, and they're always on the go, and, you know, it's a museum one day and a shopping spree the next day. And I just feel like, you know, that's just crap. Nobody lives like that. You know, you might have dishes left in the sink or laundry left on the floor, and you're not showing that, which means that people are just not really, people are afraid to be authentic. So the meaning behind these portraits that I'm doing are basically, you know, you've got this woman who has this filter upon her, the way she wants to portray herself to the rest of the world. But you can, through this one other eye, you can see a glimpse into her soul and see the real her. And my idea with this is to kind of show people or encourage people that it's okay to be yourself. You know, our lives are not perfect. Another thing that I've always struggled with is depression. I have ADD, and there's so many stigmas attached to that. And, you know, that's the real world. And I'm not afraid of talking about those things. I want people to understand that, you know, there's a lot of us out there that can relate to that. And, you know, we're all beautiful in our imperfect ways. And yeah, so the why definitely helped me figure that bit out.
Amazing. And just hat off to you for explaining that, because do you think you could have explained your art just so eloquently like you just have a few months ago?
Because I didn't understand it myself.
It's incredible. I mean, we're all sitting here. I can see everyone's just so engaged with what you're saying, and the comments are coming in saying, I have a tear in my eye. Wow, you're such a strong person, Jennifer. I want to go and check out your work. So this, everyone, is the power of like what I teach inside the 7 keys. When you do start to bring your why, and people resist it, they go, you know, it's a tough one to do sometimes, isn't it? And I think sometimes there's fear around, if I know too much about my why, it might change me, or but actually it's a very liberating process. And I think this is an example of you can explain your work so well when you really do connect with your why, and this has just been evidence of that. So thank you for sharing. Yeah. And I just think your work is it's beautiful, and I've seen it before. And by the way, we will put the links in, because I know everyone is desperate to see all the work that we're talking about today. And hearing that story helped me resonate so much, and helped me kind of process what you're saying in comparison to my own life, and why I've come off social media recently. My personal profile on Facebook, I had to come off for those very reasons. Just the noise and the fakeness and the all the messages kind of putting pressure on us to be a certain way.
So much pressure.
Yeah. So that's incredible. And so now you're at the stage, aren't you, of delving into that. And this is, I think your work now is having, you know, and will have more impact because of delving into your why. So it's a really powerful message that you're sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Jennifer. I'm going to hop to Oz, because you were next in the queue, and then Lloyd, and then I see Ruth, you've dropped out the stream, so I'll add you back in. Lovely. Oz, I'm just going to unmute you next. Oh, it says that you have muted yourself, so there we go, you're off now. Hey, lovely, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm a bit sleepy, but I'm all right. Excited as well to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I get nervous in front of the camera, so please,
Yeah,
I'm doing that.
so do I, Oz.
But,
Listen, I just want to tell you a quick story on the back of that, because everyone thinks that, you know, because I do all these live sessions, I had to be interviewed on someone else's not long ago, and it was nerve-wracking. So yeah, let's just take a moment to say well done to you all for being here. But yeah, we're all a lovely bunch. So just explain a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and a bit about your art.
So I used to draw and paint a lot when I was young, and I studied art through A-level arts, and went on to university. So I developed as an artist, but during that time I was very interested in doodles and expressive, intuitive brushstrokes and colour. But when university came to an end, I didn't know where to go from there. So I ended up in the real world, doing real career paths, I suppose, rather than following my art. But there was always something inside me wanting to go back. And every now and again, I dip in to do my artwork. I completed it 2-3 years ago. Somebody asked to do commission work, painting. So I did one for them. It was meant to be of the Borneo forest, rainforest, which they took a photograph of, but they wanted me to interpret it in my own style, which I did. And that was quite fun because I was able to express myself by using colour and just being more creative. And I really enjoyed that. But because of the constraints of life, I wasn't able to always go back and do my art as regularly until I found the hub. And it's just taught me how I haven't given my art the space to grow, because I thought the most important thing in life was to live the life like everybody else does, rather than following what's burning right deep inside me, sort of thing. So the hub I've only been in the hub for 2-3 months now, but it's given me the opportunity to actually understand what I want to achieve in my art and in my life. And that I realized when because I had such a difficult childhood, the reason why I did art was because it was my way of escaping into another world. And I feel by doing the mindset and the why modules in the 7 keys, I've realized the reason why I created colorful landscapes and joyful art is because of I want to take that journey of escapism into my paintings, so others could also appreciate that and probably go into their own little worlds and create their own little fantasy worlds, or just have a bit of an escape day to day. So that's where
taking people from like this reality or this noise, like we've just been speaking with Jennifer, and creating that kind of space where they can just transport themselves for a moment, which is lovely, isn't it? And it's kind of something that we do with nature. That's what I do with nature, and I think that's why art is so powerful, because you can bring that feeling into the home through artwork, which is lovely. And just thinking back to what Rebecca was saying, she kind of joined feeling, at the same kind of stage as you, and now she's kind of really flourishing and just found her voice. So I just want to just say that, it can be a long road, but what you're doing is so important. These foundational steps and tapping into that as an artist, it's so important, and it's paying off for Rebecca now, and it already is for you, isn't it, in ways? And yeah. So I just wondered, actually, if you've got any advice on the back of that, Oz, for anyone who's watching, who maybe is jumping ahead to, I just want to just make art now, make money, get it on social media, because I meet a lot of people that just want to do that. They just want to jump down the 7 keys. Have you got any advice for anyone who's maybe wanting to jump ahead in terms of how it feels now to finally be finding your voice or the direction you want to go in?
Just to follow your heart. Just it's quite daunting. You want to go. I feel when I joined the hub, I felt like I wanted to do things in quick succession and achieve a lot, but I felt that was too much pressure for me. So I took a slightly slower step and just tried to enjoy my art, just get into creating it, dipping my toes into social media. I started on my website, putting stuff in there. It's just, just go for it. It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking, but when you take those little steps, each little step that you take actually opens up a greater passage, and the journey just gets far more inviting, I suppose, is the best way to definitely do it.
Yeah, cool. I love it. So yeah, with each step you start to get closer, or not closer, because we're not getting closer to something, I don't know, but we're just, I hear what you're saying.
Possibilities and opportunities, I find, when you take a step in the direction you want to go, then something else comes forward to you. It's like on this journey, what I found, as soon as I thought, okay, I'm going to focus on my art, I had an opportunity to put in a bid for a mural piece, which I wasn't expecting. I don't have a studio in my space here. I do my artwork in my room, but I found that there's a local studio space that's going to be opening up soon. So it's just, I feel like by taking that step, investing in myself with the hub has also opened up those doors for me to see beyond the day-to-day normal routine of life, that you can actually, if you put it out there into the universe will also show you the way forward in some ways. And just where you get that, just follow it, because that's taking you somewhere quite special.
Yeah, so do you know, someone said to me last week, actually, Michelle, I'm finding as I'm working through the 7 keys, like weird things are happening and opportunities are coming. And I said, yeah, it's no coincidence. It's because you're working through this, and I always use that red car analogy, but when you're starting to get really focused on what it is you want as an artist, and where you want to take it, you know, you start to see the opportunities, they come to you, and weird things do start happening. And things that I think, like what you've just said as well, things start happening that you could never have imagined. When we're stuck in the day-to-day grind and day-to-day life, it's hard for us to see or think of opportunities because we're not in that world. And so opportunities do start coming that you just never knew existed. And I guess that's what you're saying, isn't it? That you know, you couldn't have planned that. And so, yeah, I'm really glad that's all happening for you, Oz. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to pop you on mute and head over to Lloyd. Ruth, I'm going to add you back in the stream because you disappeared. Lloyd, I'm going to unmute you now. How are you, Lloyd? Hello.
Hello. I'm very well.
Lovely to see you. I haven't seen you for a long time. Well, it was in lockdown, wasn't it, when we last did a session?
Yeah, we did an art thing, didn't we? Self-portrait.
Good fun. It was good fun. Yeah. So there'll be lots of people tuning in who don't know who you are, Lloyd. So just give us a bit about your background and kind of art you make.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Welsh, but I live in Bristol. Like all of you guys, I loved art as a kid. It was the one thing I was really, really good at. So I left school, I went to art college, and I found that it just wasn't for me. It wasn't kind of, I don't know, it wasn't the environment for me. So I left, and then I started training kickboxing. I really enjoyed that. I loved it. It was one of the things that I kind of feel like I was meant to do. And I was lucky enough to meet my trainer, Graham, and he really kind of pushed me. So I started competing. I won my first fight within 3 months, and then I went on to win numerous titles: Welsh, British, European, Intercontinental, and 2 world titles, among other things. Then I retired as a martial artist when I was 29, and I went to become a teacher. All the time my trainer was pushing me to do my A-levels and to then go on and do my degree, which was, you know, quite a momentous thing to leave my kickboxing career and then go on and, you know, get my degree. So I became a science teacher. So I started teaching science. I was 15 years at a local secondary school in Bristol. During this time, after the art college thing, my confidence was just completely eroded away. I kept a sketchbook. I didn't show it to anybody because I didn't think I was very good. But I always drew because I just loved it. Like all of us, we have to, don't we? We just love it. So then I was lucky enough to meet my lovely wife, and we were sat at the back. I was doing a little doodle. Obviously I'm Welsh, so I was drawing Dylan Thomas. So my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I showed her, and I've gone all Welsh now. And I showed her, and she was like, "Wow, that's amazing!" So like she said, "Let me see some more." And I was reluctantly really it was the worst thing in the world. I showed her my sketchbook expecting her to just laugh and be like, "Oh," because I showed my sketchbook to one other person, I think, and they were like, "Yeah, that's all right." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so and that person was an art teacher, by the way. So yeah, I wasn't very supportive. Anyway, so she really supported me, and I sort of did I became like Lloyd Lewis artist in 2013. I started I created a Facebook group, and I started putting my art out. I had my first commission in January, and I was really happy with it as well. And to be paid the princely sum of £30 then for a painting, which was I was really pleased with. And I used to paint in blues, watercolor, just in blues, essentially because I was terrified of color and things. But as I kind of sort of progressed, I found the Hub. I can't remember how long I've been here, the virtual art studio, and then the Hub. I've been here a few years now, but it's one of the best investments I've made in my art career. It's the community, it's the friendships. There's so many other, it's all the lessons and everything. They're really important, and I'm still trying to work through the 7 keys. I'm motivated to do that. I'm on what now? I have no idea what my why though. I have no idea. All I know about my why is I have to. I have to paint. That's why. But yeah, now I take commissions. I've recently finished. I've done 3 or 4 commissions in the last 3 weeks. They were all at various stages during lockdown, but then kids are back in school and things. So I'm able to paint and things now. Last year I had a really successful year. I was featured in a couple of jury, like the RWA and things like that in Bristol. One of the shows I was in, Prince Charles had work in the same show, so that's pretty cool. That's a nice claim to fame. And I've been on Sky Landscape Artist. I've moved away from just being a portrait, like in my head, just being a portrait artist. I'm an artist, and I've got like ridiculous amount of things that I want to paint. Probably like I see something and I'm thinking that's amazing, I'm going to paint that. I've got ideas that just I have to live a long time to paint everything that's in my head. That's all I know. But like I've recently upped my prices again, just because I want to get, like, if I do paint a commission, I want to make sure that it's worth my while, as opposed to being inundated with stuff that is great, but it's not. It's just taken away from things that I want to do. So I've got a mentor now as well. I've had him for nearly over a year, and he's been brilliant. Mark Rubin, he's been absolutely amazing. We speak every week, and he's helped, as well as Michelle, helped to push me in a direction that I want. So I've got ideas for a series of works for like self-portraits, which represent different kind of things in my life. So like last October I lost a friend to cancer, and that completely wrecked me. He was a really good friend of mine. So I want to do a self-portrait with me, holding like something of his, and then kind of having things like I thought maybe sunflowers and things like that in various states of kind of decomposition to hint at the kind of temporary nature of organic life and things like that. But I've got like things I want to put, like my son. He was prosthesis. He's an amputee, and I want to have something maybe holding his prosthetic leg and indicating the kind of journey that we've gone on with that, because that's been hard. Like it's really hard to kind of compute the difficulty of having that, and having that little boy with a prosthesis and seeing him being amazing every single day. I teach martial arts now. Oh yeah, sorry. So I left teaching. I get back on track. I apologize, Michelle. I ramble.
No, we're enjoying it. We're enjoying it. Everyone's tuning in, going, this is great, nodding, smiling, everyone's saying.
So 3 years ago, I had to have 3 spinal surgeries. I used to say serious spinal surgeries, but there's none of them are fun, are they? Let's be honest. It's not like you go to a hospital. I'm just going to have a spinal surgery today. It'll be a laugh. So yeah, I had 3 spinal surgeries, and that was horrible. Obviously, I spent 18 months, I think it was, like living in the bed, like just unable to move, and having hot baths, and being unable to lift my children, and them just knowing me in constant pain on really strong medication, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible. So, but it was after the second operation I decided I'm going to leave teaching. I love teaching, but it's just the whole nature of the beast that teaching is at the moment, the bureaucracy, and I'm not going to go into that, but there's a move away from what I value in teaching.
Yeah.
So I decided to leave, and I still teach. I run a martial arts school, which is one of the best things I've ever done, and I'm an artist. And since doing that, I've been able, like I said, I've been in juried exhibitions, which I never thought possible before. I've been on Sky Landscape Artist of the Year, and there's something else coming up next year in January, which I'm not allowed to say about at the moment. And so there's a load of other little things that I've done, which I'm really, really pleased with. I've, thanks to the lessons that Michelle has taught us, I've reached out to different artists, and I'm kind of friends now with an artist called Andrew Tischler. And he's an amazing portrait artist and landscape artist. His landscapes are incredible. And he's going to have me on his podcast. We've recorded that a few weeks ago, and it's launching imminently at any time now. But yeah, so there's lots and lots of things that I'm doing now that when I started in 2013 thinking about becoming an artist, I never ever would have thought possible. I know that I've got a massive journey ahead of me. I'm nowhere near what I want to be, but I'm saying yes to opportunities and things. So I've got to say this one more final thing. On Friday, I'm meeting an actress called Amanda Lawrence. She's been in Doctor Who, which is really cool because I love that. But she's also been in Star Wars. She was one half of the kiss at the end of Rise of Skywalker. So she's wonderful, really, really lovely lady. And I'm going to be taking photos and doing some drawings and sitting down with her for a portrait that she's agreed to do. So she's going to be one. I've got another series of portraits that I'm working on, as well as a series of self-portraits, and I've got some still lifes that I want to do, which are kind of realistic based, but with a little bit of humor in, anthropomorphizing like still life objects and creating a kind of narrative which is human through the title, and people can kind of think, oh yeah, and just have a bit of fun. And I'm really, really interested in landscape, and the two things I really love are kind of the contrast between light and dark and shadow, but I also love creating depth as well within a small canvas. So those are my absolute passions. And yeah,
I love it. You're like a creative fireball, Lloyd, aren't you? You're just this fireball of creativity and enthusiasm. And
I've got 2 kids, and I tell them ridiculous stories all the time. And so I'm also writing and illustrating 2 children's books at the moment. One is about a giant crab who wants to play football but can't, and so he starts breaking down footballs and things, and then my little boy helps him by getting him to be a goalkeeper, because he's a crab, he can only move sideways. And then there's another one which is called There's a Dinosaur on My Paw, which we came up with during lockdown, and it's about this cat with a dinosaur on his paw, and he can't go out, can't see his friends, can't do all these things, and then at the end he has a think and realizes that the dinosaur's extinct, and boom, he goes away. And it's about having this kind of idea to managing the worry and things and being able to see past it. So yeah, that's so I've got a few.
Incredible. Has your brain ever switched off, Lloyd? because I've got
it's
no.
ridiculous.
You're like me, yeah. It's like a high frequency radio.
I have loads of things I need to do and want to do. I'm in the middle of doing some online or starting some online art courses that I'm going to get out in the next few months, and martial arts online courses as well. Like, yeah, lockdown taught me one thing: I need to have other revenue streams. I'm just massive things I need to do. My website is a car crash, absolute car crash, and I'm going to be looking at when I have a tiny bit of time, or when I compartmentalize and book in a little bit of time for myself. Once everything, we're in the middle of moving house as well, and my daughter's party at the weekend. So yeah. But apart from that, I've got a lie-in and booked 2025. So yeah.
Goodness me, I'm exhausted. I need to go and have a lie down, Lloyd. I'm exhausted by the amount of things you've got going on.
So yeah.
I love it though. I love it. I love your energy. And I remember when you joined, you were like, I'm gonna be in the National Portrait Gallery.
Yeah, that's my ambition. That's my one. I started the year. I set my targets at the start of the year, and one of my stretch targets was to be in the to have the national, to be in the National Portrait Gallery and things like that, but also to be on the Creative Endeavour, the Andrew Tishler podcast. And because he's had art, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form I'm in that caliber of artist that he's had on, but I know I've got a story, and by the evidence of this last 5-10 minutes, I can definitely talk. But he, I got in that podcast. We had a conversation. I reached out to him for some advice, and I expecting just a few sentences. So he came back and said, let's jump on Skype. And again, I was expecting 10 minutes. And sorry, 1 second. Switch me off for a second. I'll be back in a sec.
I love it. I love doing lives. I do want to come back to Lloyd though when he's answered the door. Just put him on because there's some really, really important things there. Are you free to just talk again, Lloyd? Yeah. Because what I want, can I just go back to the actress that you are?
Yes. Yeah.
How did that come about?
She moved from London to Bristol just before lockdown in January. Her son's in my son's class, and she's got a wonderful face. Her name's Amanda Lawrence. If you Google her and things, she's just wonderful, And if she wasn't an actress, I'd be talking we make friends, and I'd be painting her anyway, because she just got just wonderful, a face made to paint. Yeah. And we just started chatting, and myself and my wife were like, I know her. And we were watching telly one night, and don't know why I said it like that. And there was an advert for a up and coming program, and she was stood next to Keely Hawes. I think it's called Honor, the program, and she just stood there, and we were like, that's Arthur's mum, and we just started having a chat, and she's lovely, our kids, both kids get on really well, and I asked her if she'd be part of my next series of portraits, and she was like, well, my first proper series of portraits, and she was like, yep, let's do it. And I was like, fantastic. But yeah, it's exciting, and it come about just because I asked, and I kind of took initiative. Lots of the things that I've done I'm about because I've pursued it and asked, and the worst that can happen is someone says no, and that's fine. I don't care. You move on.
That's one of the great, I think that's one of your strengths, and actually a great lesson for everyone watching is that, in those early days especially, I think a lot of people, and I spoke to someone yesterday, they said, I just want to put my work on social media and for someone to just notice me, and for someone to just go, yeah, I'll take your work and go and sell it in the gallery. And sadly, it doesn't work like that. And we have to, make an effort to get ourselves out there. And that's why inside the Hub, we do teach a lot about building relationships, because it's one of the core foundations is building relationships. And I know it can be scary, especially if you're not confident or you're an introvert, but there's ways that you can do it in a really authentic way. And actually, as you go through the 7 keys, I think it gives you more confidence. Like Jennifer's come on today talking confidently about her work. That's the step that you need to go and approach people and
Absolutely.
speak to people naturally and go, do you know what, I can put you in touch with this person. And it's so important because you can't do it alone, and a lot of artists try and get out there by themselves, but actually relationships with other people, and it doesn't have to be people in the art world as well, you know, it can be relationships like we were talking the other day at the bus stop. You might meet someone at the bus stop and they'll put you in touch with someone, but you know, it's important. It's important to build relationships up with other people so that you're not doing this alone.
I've had my last, I'd say, 7 commissions that I've had have all come about from relationships on social media.
Yeah.
That, you know, having people comment on my work and responding to those comments and having that conversation, and they share a little bit of their life, and you take an interest in things, and it's just grown. And then, you know, oh, by the way, you know, I want a commission because I what is it? The know, like, and trust. You know, you buy from people that you know, like, and trust. So they know, like, and trust me. They've seen my work. They know it's like of a consistent level that they appreciate, and boom, it's happened. So yeah, it's been really lovely.
Yeah, and also I think I remember you saying to me, I think working through the 7 keys has given you the confidence to approach people that you wouldn't have approached before.
Absolutely.
And I remember you saying, there's this artist, and I've kind of put them on a pedestal and I've approached them. Yeah. Now you've become friends. So yeah,
it's you know, it's come about because like some of the relationships I've got, like I'm friends, kind of friends with people who've been on like Portrait Artist of the Year and stuff like that. We have conversations and things, and Andrew Tischler, I regularly have conversations with him via Instagram Messenger and stuff like that. And it's just come about because, like you've said numerous times, just reach out to people that you admire and just start a conversation and make it a 2-way thing, not like just a constantly, you know, like feed me. It's a relationship, a 2-way thing. And it's been, you know, I've commented on so many things of various people, not because I want to develop a relationship, because I genuinely, authentically think their work is incredible, you know, and it's just, you know, people are nice. In my head, I build them up as this, oh, they're amazing, they must be so, you know, like, and they're just people, and, you know, just like us, and they're kind and nice, most of them, and the ones that aren't, I don't really want them in my life and to be friends with them anyway. So So,
wonderful. It's always nice to get an update from you, Lloyd, and I'm very intrigued to know what the secret is for next year. So I'm sure we'll have to get you back in so that we can reveal that. Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to hop over to Ruth and we'll have a little chat with Ruth. Hello, Ruth. Lovely to meet you. Oh, you're still muted. Oh, there we go. It's come through. Hey, Ruth. How are you?
You can hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, yeah. Tell us a little bit about where you live and your art and your journey to where you are now. Oh, the sound's gone off.
I live near Cambridge in the UK. Okay. I'll move to a different place. It might be where I am. So I live near Cambridge in the UK. I used to, which my heart is still in Manchester, so I think we will go back one day. We lived there for quite a long time before moving here. So when I was young, I've always created, but I never thought of myself as an artist. It was always just, I love creating and I find it really relaxing. But it was never kind of a thing that I stuck to, because my dad encouraged me into an academic life, and my mum just said, always just put me off, because you can't make money as an artist. And she was very into, you have to do a job where you're going to make money. So I was kind of a people pleaser, so I carried on. I did my degree in history of art and philosophy, but I really wanted to, you know, still now I know that I should have done fine art or some kind of art. And then I went on to a master's, another academic subject, and then I'd had enough, and I went travelling. And the whole time, you know, I was drawing, being creative, but the direction that my life went into was how I can be helpful to people. So I started to learn holistic therapies and Buddhist healing and things like that. So about 20 years ago, I started studying lots of different holistic therapies. And over the years, I've been teaching. And more recently, I've carried on being creative and using art personally. And I've always found it really therapeutic. And my mum was diagnosed with mesothelioma, which is a type of cancer, about 6 years ago. And I think to help me deal with that, I started to draw more, and so I did everything, like from ceramics to weaving and embroidery, anything that I could sort of that would help me relax and have time for myself. And I started getting sketchbooks together, and I did a few courses and classes in loads of different, loads of different things. But the way that it influenced my my holistic side of life is that it's all still about healing. So I find art and being creative is such a healing activity.
Yeah.
Last January, when my mum was kind of getting really poorly, I started a sketchbook. I got this lovely sketchbook, really big, really glittery cover, and I thought, I'm going to use this to just have something that will be a bit of therapy for me. So I just used it every day, and I kind of just put anything down that was just inside me, because I think, like a few people have said, you can't put things into words sometimes, and that's what art does. I think you've said that, Michelle, as well.
Yeah.
You really need a way to express yourself when you can't put things into words. So it really helped me. It really was a way for me to focus on something and move things forward. So I wasn't just stuck in sort of sad feelings. There were obviously things in the sketchbook that did, that were a bit darker, but there were also things that were really bright and cheerful, because loads of things I did with my mum were so funny and so so fun. So I kind of so I used it for kind of memories as well.
Yeah.
And since she died last April, I've kind of carried on with the sketchbook, but I was doing kind of more creating and more sort of I don't know, I guess it was kind of cathartic stuff, and just but it was when I found your United Art Space that I really, just listening to, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it's probably a mixture of things. It really helped me to sort of feel like I'm not very good at kind of directing myself, and I need help with being accountable, and just sort of honing in on skills as well as my authentic voice. And so I worked through all the things that you were doing in the United Arts space, and feels like a really long time ago now, and it's not even that long ago. Lots and lots of art that was just working through my memories, and working through my feelings and my identity. And I got all those ideas from listening to you, and how to find your voice. And I thought, well, this is how I find my voice. And then so I've got to the point now where I've kind of worked through lots of the grieving process. Obviously it carries on, but I really worked through loads of it just by painting, just by expressing myself on paper and on canvas, and in ceramics as well. But I'm trying to focus just on more for me, but the painting is something that I want to keep developing. So now I've got to what I really love most about creating, and that's texture and colour, and how nature influences us, and all the textures and colours in nature. So I'm just like, I can't remember, I think it was it Oz, just playing, just really having fun now. No, I feel a lot more confident that and I can call myself an artist, and yeah, and I've got both autistic, and they're both fantastic, but obviously lockdown was a little bit hard work, so being able to just escape while they were busy working and do my own work, painting and looking at your workshops and everything, really helped me to be able to deal with being at home and looking after them and showing them that that I have something that's important to me as well. Yeah,
that's amazing. I resonate with what you're saying so much, because yeah, for me, I went through some personal things in lockdown, and just to make art and process it. First of all, it was to take my mind off it, like you said. It was a distraction, because art just quietens the mind down, doesn't it? So it's relaxing, and we just turn that part of the brain off that's thinking. And so it's a lovely distraction. But then, like what you've just described, what comes from that is, and what happened for me as well, was starting to realize how I feel about things and connecting things, and it came from what was coming out of me. And I was like, wow, this is how I'm feeling about this, and this is why I'm feeling this way, and it's why art is so powerful, isn't it? And actually, thank you for sharing that about what you got from the workshops, because I love running those workshops, but to hear how it helps, and just even to have that kind of aha moment, or a change in doing art for yourself, or whatever it is, it makes me so happy to know that that's reached out to someone and impacted you in that way. So that's great. So you're in this stage now of, like Oz and like Rebecca, of playing, and it's igniting that passion and really being courageous, being yourself.
Yeah, use the creativity in my holistic practices now as well. So I teach people, so by showing them a bit of my journey, people have been quite inspired, and see that it's really important to get whatever's inside you out in some way, and use it as a healing process. So yeah, so I'm now a holistic and creative therapist.
Yay. And do you know what? I've just noticed the light is really shining in now. Sorry. I've got this like glow. I love that, and that's how it should be, is everything coming together as one. And I had a one-to-one recently with someone, and they said that they do something kind of similar. It was, I don't know what they were teaching, but it was kind of like a therapy. And they were seeing it so different to their art. And then actually we started to realize that they're so connected. And it was like a big, massive aha moment, like, my heart, you know, these two things can actually come together. And they can. And that's what we want to do as people, is to kind of connect these things as much as possible and make our life simple. So yeah, that's really, really interesting. And also I just want to go back to the point of your parents kind of pushing you into a place where they wanted you to go, because I know that this is very, very common. And I know there's probably lots of people watching now who've had a similar thing. And back to what Lloyd said about his art teacher as well. I must get messages, like hundreds of messages, saying either parents or art teachers have kind of crippled people in some way, and they stopped making art, or they thought they weren't good enough. So I just want to say that out loud, because I think it's happened to probably every one of us here. And it's important to heal that, isn't it? And you're doing that now by going in your own direction.
My dad's a professional musician, so it's quite funny because, and he always has been. So he's an artist, but he's also, you know, fairly academic. But I think I was just quite good academically, so that's what they thought I should do. And you know, in my heart, you know, it's always been art, really. But yeah, my art teachers always hated my artwork. I was always told I was no good, or I was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bash all art tutors, because I'm sure there are amazing art tutors out there, but I've had like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, if not touching thousands, send messages and comments to me to say that their art teacher told them how rubbish they were, or how they should just give up now. Like really horrific comments. That I just think, why would you do that? And you know, I mean, we're coming from a generation, and it might be completely different now, but there are, you know, from a generation that we live in, a massive amount of people that were criticised from their art tutors. And so hopefully, I hope that's changed now in the case of that, you know, it is so subjective, and actually their opinion is just one opinion, and that's what we have to remind ourselves now. It's just like, that is one person's opinion, and that should be heard from everyone, I think. Or, you know, right now is that you'll get that still, even, you know, even if you're not going to uni or college, there'll always be someone who will tell you that your art is rubbish. And it's focusing on the people that really connect with you that's important, is what I would say. Thanks so much for that, Ruth. Thank you to everyone who shared. I just want to, before we go, I just want to show you some of the comments that have been coming in because of everything that you guys have shared today, because people are really resonating, and I think it's really helped people to just sit and hear your stories, because they've all resonated in some way. So I'm just going to just pop some of them up now. Ruth, art has always been in our hearts. Another wonderful group of people this morning. This week has been so inspirational. Love the description, Ruth. Eva said, gosh, this feeling is just baffling and amazing. I feel so much relating to all these stories I don't think I've ever felt before, like discovering a whole herd of people with the same kind of stories, thoughts and feelings. Thank you so much for sharing. This all resonates like never before. Yeah, like an angel with the sunshine on her head. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the light has just changed. But yeah, lots of people saying this is my story too. So much love. I mean, there's so many comments from each and every one of you that share to say how much they resonate with you. So please, everyone who's on now, go back and check those comments. And also, could you all share your social media links? The reason I don't put them in advance is because I never know actually who's going to pop on, because I put the link inside the hub, and it's always, you know, things change and things come up. So now I know who's been on, I will make sure I gather all the links, put them in the comments because everyone wants to go and check out your work. And so that's it. Thank you so much. I've got another couple of people now, so that everyone who's on now is going to head off, and I'll take you from the stream, and then we've got a couple of other people who are going to hop on. So I'm just going to unmute everyone that's on now, just so you can all just shout goodbye. Because I always think it's quite nice.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I will remove everyone from here, and then we'll get the next people up. So we've got a couple of people. And I think there might just be us three on just for this little part. If anyone else does hop on, I'll bring them in. But thank you, Karen and Pavlina. Hello.
Hiya.
So if I go to Pavlina first, if you could just tell people a little bit about where you live and your journey into the arts and the kind of art you're making now. Oh, your sound is quiet. Can't hear you. Just check your mic is on. Yeah. No, nothing's coming through. It's like a really, really faint sound. Okay, come back in again. Yes, I'll go to Karen whilst you do that. So hi, Karen.
Hello.
How are you? Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, and you? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm loving doing these sessions because obviously I see comments inside the hub, but to actually meet you in person on this session, it's lovely.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It is. So tell us a bit about where you live and the kind of art that you make in your journey.
I live in Mepham in Kent. I've lived here about 20 years. I'm from Essex originally. You can probably tell that from my accent. Yeah, quite newly divorced, and just working on myself now, really. I've always been interested in art. Same thing as I was listening to the previous thing, was told at school I wouldn't really amount to anything. But sort of found my passion again, really. Become a qualified florist. That didn't quite work out. So I decided to explore children's entertainment and face painting. And obviously I can't work at the moment, but it's reignited my passion for art. Like I said to you the other day, I'm working in all different techniques at the moment, just trying to find different elements of floral, really, which is what my passion is. With the floristry and everything else. So yeah, just experimenting, and I haven't had a chance to start the 7 keys yet, I'm ashamed to say, but I did quite a lot of work during the lockdown, volunteering. I set up a super neighbour scheme with a friend of mine, helping 500 residents. So it's now time for me to concentrate on myself.
Yeah, good for you. And I think going back to what other people were just saying as well, and I remember when Rebecca was joining, there is that stage of just playing and just freeing yourself of, someone was asking earlier, what's the 7 keys? And it's a course that I've produced that we work on inside the hub. And it's a 7-step process, basically. But at the top of that process is your why, and that's what you're in right now, and playing. And we don't, there's a point where you just let that, it's like letting your creative self free, isn't it? Where you're not thinking about who it's for, how much you're going to sell it for. It's in that moment of just letting it all out. And it's a language. Art is a language, and you are finding your own language and developing that. And that's quite an exciting phase to be in. And like you say, finally focusing on you. And that feels great, I bet.
Well, having 2 children as well, obviously, quite a lot of emotional turmoil in the last few years. I actually feel quite settled now. It's going through the divorce and everything else, and not knowing where I was going to be living, and now that's all sort of resolved. I just feel that I can concentrate more now on what I love, really.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's a nice place to be in. And I think going back to not touching the 7 keys, I think the great thing in the hub, the 7 keys is a course that you can work through in your own time. But because we go over stuff inside the hub all the time, you kind of pick up the 7 keys and the process through the videos and things like that, and conversation and watching the other artists and how they're making decisions and what they're working through. So don't worry too much. I'm still working through the course myself.
There was a lady talking just previously, and she was saying about holistic creative therapist. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I've just submitted my counselling course finally, and I just want to combine the two, really.
Lovely. And it sounds, and people are just saying how you sound so settled, and I can hear that in your voice as well. You sound really kind of at peace. And you know, it sounds like you've gone through a really challenging time, and you start to come out the other end, which is lovely, and that gives everyone hope as well, that, you know, as challenging as life gets, as we've heard everyone today sharing stories about things that have happened, and it's so hard to deal with. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. We come out of it, don't we? And through art,
you come out stronger as well. Definitely
don't you? Yeah. And that's why I'm doing these sessions as well about Your Art Matters, because, you know, I do feel that there is such a place for it in terms of what we're going through in our life, and to heal and to process, and to, you know, you're developing your own voice now, and you'll get so much from that process of figuring out who you are as an artist, and you'll learn so much about yourself. So lots of people are saying they've gone through something similar. It's so tough, but like you, Karen, I'm finding myself and I'm feeling more settled, said Michelle. So that's great. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, Karen. I might come back and come back to you in a second. I'm going to see if Pavlina has sorted her sound. Let's see. Hello. Yay! It's still a little bit patchy. Oh no, it's not coming through again. Maybe if you move the mic. No. How strange. Okay, I'll come back to you. Just keep hopping in, and we'll give it another go. Oh, there we go. We've got sound. Oh, it keeps coming on and off for some reason. It's back now. Are you doing something different? Okay. I'll come back to you. Okay, Laura. Hey, Laura. I'm just going to unmute you. Hold on.
I'm such a mess.
Don't worry. How are you?
I'm good. Just very busy.
Are you?
This week. The last 2 weeks I've been working with an accountant, and he's been asking me to work more and more. So this week I was very bad. It's my first day to paint this week, I think. Yeah, it is. And I'm meant to be doing a commission. It's like a painting of, this is the photograph she sent me. It's quite boring, but she said just do my own thing with it. So that's where I am now. But she texted me last night asking how, it was 3 weeks ago she sent it to me. So I'm kind of like, oh no. I'll do it in 2 days. I'm very fast. That's the way I like to work.
That's good. That's good. Just tell everyone who's tuning in kind of where you're from, and a little bit about your journey into the arts. How did you get into making?
Well, I always dabbled. I did go to art college in 2004, I think it was. It's a long time ago. I went to Sligo IT in Ireland, and I did painting and ceramics, and I loved painting, was my thing. It's the only thing I thought I was ever good at, but the college course didn't suit me at all. I didn't enjoy it. I felt like you were just working to please the tutors, and I didn't feel like I learned anything. It was a lot of abstract work and more, I didn't really learn too much, so I focused on ceramics.
Yeah.
And I ended up did some work experience in third year, and she ended up offering me a job. So I was like, okay. So I worked from Monday to Friday doing ceramics, and she trained me up to make her work. and her name's Rachel Quinn she's from Sligo. So I was doing that for 4 years and I loved it, and I learned a lot, I grew a lot, but it was all just her work. But I foolishly bought a house with my ex at the time, and then the recession hit. So it was just a disaster. The business, her business, my boss's business, went very quiet. So I was cut down to 2 days. So I had to move. I went to New York then. That was a tough decision. So, but there was no work. So I went to New York, and you're basically starting from scratch. And so I didn't paint too much, but I ended up, I was there for 10 years, but towards the end I got back into painting, and I did some mural work and some commissions, painting in bars. And I did pet portraits, just not too much, but a bit here and there, because I ended up buying my own bar, and I did a lot of events, and I ran some paint nights as well. So I started doing my own company doing the paint nights, because that actually did very well over there. So the last 2 or 3 years, a lot happened, you know, personal stuff, and I just needed to get out of New York. It's just got too much for me. It's very busy. You're working a lot, you know, all work. So I decided to come home. I'm home since last November, and I've been lucky enough. I saved enough where I could just take a year off and focus on what I want to do. So it's been good. I went on a trip before the whole COVID. I went to Italy. My brother's there. So I'm blessed. I'm actually very lucky. My dad lives alone, so I moved in with him. He's a big house, and I've changed one of the rooms into an art studio. But I moved recently, last week or 2 weeks ago, I moved into town, and I've been busy with that too. Moving sucks. So I treat this like my studio and try and get, because I wasn't really in a routine. So I'm trying to make it into a routine and work 9 to 5. But I find it where I am is very rural. It's not a very artsy place. Cavan's the Midland of Ireland. There's not even one gallery in the town. It's not easy here. I have reached out to local artists lately, so that's good. But I'm just extremely busy, which is good. But and keep going anyway. I'm lucky. I have a brother as well who did IT, and he helped me with my website. So I've been very but it's good. The pet portraits I started doing because I was asked by one person, and I focused on that for a while. But it's very quiet around here. It's a lot of work, and for me, I'm kind of like, if I get some commissions, that's okay, but I'm not really I'm not really focused on that anymore. So I'm trying to paint. You know, the lady spoke earlier about her healing. I'm kind of similar with that. It's more for me at the moment, and my dream is to do an exhibition, definitely. But I'm experimenting at the moment, and just enjoying it.
Yeah, that's great. I like what you said as well about having a kind of schedule, because
I need that for me.
Yeah, and I think that's important, isn't it? As especially artists who aren't yet making a living. I think the sooner you can start to schedule time in and treat it as like your job, work, even if it's just an hour a week. That's how I started. I just carved out an hour a week to work on United Arts before I set it all up. Just 1 hour a week, and then I was working through the 7 keys, just 1 hour a week. Then it led to 4 hours a week a few months after, and it just started to build from there to what it is now, full time. And so but I think it's like having that non-negotiable time. Like you'd show up for a job, and you know, someone said to me, I get called to do things for my family, and I get called to do this, and then I don't have time for my art. And I said, well, if you block out time for your art, and someone phones you up and says, can you come and mow my lawn? Would you, if you're at work, would you turn around to your boss and say, I'm sorry, I've got to go now because my mother-in-law needs a lawn mowing? You wouldn't, would you?
They think, my family here, a lot of them don't think I do anything. I'm doing nothing all the time. So I have to work on my mindset a lot, because it does get you down sometimes. It's like, And if you're not around like-minded people that are enthusiastic, it gets you down. It's very hard. It's not easy. So some days are like, oh my God. It's very, So that's coming from New York, where you can do anything. If you put the work in New York, it pays off because there's so many people, and it's just so much easier. I miss that, but I'd rather be here than New York at the moment now with the COVID.
You've got two very contrasting worlds, haven't you? New York to Ireland, where you are in the the rural place.
Yeah,
can't like much different.
Yeah, like coming home here, I just couldn't. I was away for 10 years, and I think the first time I visited was 8 years. I didn't come home for 8 years, and but it's the greens and the quietness and your whole senses are enlightened a bit, the difference as well. Do you know, when people always said how green Ireland was, I never really took notice, but when you're away, you actually come back, you're like, oh wow, it is actually just beautiful. So yeah, I'm happy enough now, so I'm just going to keep going. You just have to work through it. Some days you have good days, some days you have bad days, and I'm lucky I have the accountancy kind of fell into place, so I'm getting paid. And I'm getting paid, you know, and it's flexible. I can do whenever I want. I can say, no, I can't do tomorrow. It actually worked out really well for me. Yeah, things keep actually falling into place. I'm very lucky for some reason. It's brilliant. But I'm just staying positive.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't think it's luck. I think we create these things on purpose, and I think, you know, throughout my life, I thought, oh, this job works out well with this other thing that I'm doing. But I think you've created that yourself. I do believe that. You probably are creating your own opportunities because you're making it happen.
I took the chance to move out, and I said, I'm moving out. I shouldn't really be moving out money-wise, but for my mind, I said I need to just get out into a busier place and, you know, create a schedule. And then the first week I got a commission, my first big commission. And it was so random. So things work out. So if you're scared, it will work out. Yeah.
You do. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. I'm just going to let a couple of other people in now. There's Angela coming in and Pavlina. Let me just see. Pavlina.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Third time lucky, as they say.
Yeah, it's difficult to choose the right device.
Well, it's like me.
So let's start with Pavlina. If you could tell us a little bit about where you live and your art journey, that would be amazing.
I live in Cambridge right now in England. And I've been here for 4 years because I'm doing my PhD in fine art and theology. And I'm just about to finish this course. So I have 5 more months to submit my thesis, and it unfortunately takes every time from me. So I can't focus so much on art doing or art making because of art writing. But it's still, you know, I have realized that when I started going through these 7 keys, which I did, I gave myself a month during some holidays. So I managed to do my why and started to do the what, and I finished the mindset. And I see that actually it's resonating in my thesis as well, because it's very important. I'm talking about the way of living art as your own spirituality. So it's very close to what I've been doing wherever I am. I mean, in my PhD, in my art career, in my life, I think it's simply a way of living. It's not what you do for your living, but it's a way of your living. So it's not what, but it's really like, it's this lifestyle.
You've just explained that so well, because my free workshops that I run are called Make Art Your Living, and I don't like to put the emphasis on the monetary side of it, because, and I use that phrase because to me the word living isn't just about financial, it is about what you've just described. It's about making it your lifestyle and making it your everyday. And integrating it into everything else. You know, the way you see, the way you feel. It's so for me, make art your living has a kind of dual meaning, in terms of making it a monetary living, but also just making it like you've just described.
Yeah, I have realized that it was always what I wanted to do, or not always. You know, I wasn't very sure about what I want to do because, how to say it, and not to see silly, or not to sound silly. It's like when you realize you have some talents for things, you have to pick one and to focus on it, because otherwise you will get lost in doing too many things, and it makes your life confusing, even though it's a beautiful experimental stage of your life. If you want to do it like a permanent job, because I would love to do art as my permanent job, I focus on it. You know, it's my goal right now, because I decided not to waste time by doing boring job, or to hide in academia, which I don't find very satisfying. So I decided to be a full-time artist, and I'm doing everything for it right now. So, and I can't see why I shouldn't, because always people kept saying, oh, well, you know, it's so difficult to be a full-time artist. You have to teach, you have to do some other job for your living. And I felt like it's wasting time. You know, I have taught art for 9 years at high school. And it's amazing. You see children, well, youngsters, to grow into their own level of development, or I don't know how to say. But you don't have time to do your own art. No, it's inspiring to work with them, but you don't have time for yourself eventually, because you help them to achieve what they want and what they need, and you don't focus on your own art achievement. So you are not developing in your own. I don't know how to explain it. I love doing it, but I think I learned a lot, and I think it's time to move forward. So I decided to really do it like the main thing in my life.
I think I understand what you're saying, because it's almost like, you know, in life we've only got so much capacity, and so we have to choose what is right, what is really important to us right now. And there would have been a point where teaching was important to you, and that was where you chose to spend a chunk of your time. But now, as you're growing as a person and learning, you know, there is no room for that, is there? If you want to grow into this artist that is trying to get out, you need to make space for that. And I do think you're right in that you need to hone it in, but I think there's a point where you just have to unleash it first and go crazy and let it all out, like Karen has described. And, you know, when you're kind of playing, and Rebecca said she just had to play, and then started to just rein it in to focusing. And that's when you make your life simpler, and you start to go deeper on something, and you can then start to see how it connects to people and make a living from it. So yeah, it's a great point. So you've got 5 months left, did you say?
To submit my thesis. And then I will have all the free time for art. Well, I do some babysitting, but it's just joy.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to come back to you in a second. I'm just going to hop to Angela. So I'll just pop you on mute for a minute and unmute Angela. Hi, Angela.
Hello.
Lovely to meet you.
Sorry, I was a bit late.
No, don't be sorry at all.
I didn't get the right tech set up.
It's a drop in, drop out, as you would. Very informal. So tell everybody where you're based in the world, and kind of a little bit about your journey into arts and what kind of art you make.
Okay, so I'm based in Worcester. So when I finished school, I was listening to the calls, the people before. There was an expectation I should go and do A-levels, and that was what everybody did. But I bucked the trend and insisted I was going to do an art foundation. So I was quite determined back then. I then went on to study textile design. I finished that course, and maybe unfortunately it's the wrong word, but I got wrapped up with boyfriends and thinking I was going to settle down and all that sort of thing. And although I carried on with my art, I never really pursued it like I should have done, or pursued a textile design. Time went on. I dabbled, and then wow, it's nearly probably 18 years ago. I went back to college. In between, I gave up my full-time job. I was working full-time in the civil service, which I must admit is very comfortable when you're in the civil service. You've got a lot of flexibility and everything, but you just keep doing it. I went back to college because I thought, well, I'm going to top up my HND to a degree, and then I think I might look to do teaching art. I went back. I had a brilliant time. I could have stayed there forever at college. And I really found, being that much older, I appreciated it a lot more and learned a lot more and had a lot more to give. And again, I then got wrapped up in life again. I then had my son. He's 16, so your life disappears with that. And so now I've sort of got to a stage where I really want to focus on what I'm doing. So I've done a mixture of things. I was quite relieved to hear a lot of people have dabbled in all sorts of things, not really knowing what path to follow. So more recently I've been painting, and I quite enjoy portrait painting, but there's also this kind of, probably from my textile background, this kind of fashion element which I really enjoy. So more recently I've kind of pulled that into some of the pictures I'm doing. But my biggest challenge at the moment, I haven't really got into selling yet. I've done some selling at craft fairs and things like that, but nothing major. Yeah. And so listening to people about how they've moved into commissioning, I've got my sister, who's also a member of the Hub, is over in Australia. So when she comes back, we get really on it and do a lot more and get focused, and we spend a lot of time messaging each other to stop procrastinating and that sort of thing. So we both join the Hub together with a real focus to move on. And this week I took my hours at work down to 4 days with a focus doing more. This week I've had a few days off, and I've actually been looking at the your courses and everything. And I think my biggest thing I've realised is my mindset is a real barrier. Yeah. And so I thought I had a growth mindset, which I think I have to. Well, you say you have both, don't you? Fixed and growth. And I thought I was more growth. But then I listened to your story about your dad and his bird boxes and things, and I thought, oh my God, that's me. and then the other thing, which is then I went on to look at the fear one, and I am procrastinating, and I just think of reasons why I'm not doing things. And I also actually this week I've got quite defensive when somebody said, what have you done today? And I go, don't ask me what I've done. I am doing things. I can't write down those. And I was really sharp. And then watching your session, I said, yeah, I can see why now what's happening with me. So I'm early on in the process. Yeah.
That's great to recognise though, Angela, and you're describing how I used to be as well. If someone asked me, what have you done today? I'd be like, well, I have, it's kind of attack when they were just asking you what you've done. Yeah. And that's definitely because, you're probably beating yourself up because you haven't done enough, or there's stuff in there, isn't there, which is great that you're recognising. And I think just anyone who's watching about the growth and the fixed mindset. So we talk about growth and fixed inside the Hub. And I think a lot of people think the growth mindset is just being positive and just having a positive attitude. It's so much more than that. It is more about how you react to a situation, and whether you see an opportunity in something or whether you're seeing it as a bad thing. And so you're kind of grasping that, which is great, because that will help you. And I think that you're at that stage that others have described where you're finally focusing on yourself. And when you do that, it's sometimes overwhelming and you think, I don't know who I am or where I'm going. And you're kind of piecing your experiences together, and I did this, and now.
Yeah.
So it is definitely a process of doing that, and learning about yourself.
And I think what the hubs showed me, I've listened to so many people this week that what they were talking about resonated with me. And the other thing I think I was just listening to Lloyd earlier about talking about going out there and doing things or being a bit brave. And since joining the hub, I was trying to do this piece of artwork, and I was looking in magazines for inspiration and things, and I think I was looking Harper's Bazaar or something like that, and there was this fantastic photographer, and I thought, well, if I paint this picture, if I take sources from him, is there going to be copyright issues if ever I sell it and that sort of thing? And I reached out to him, and I was thinking this God on this pedestal, and I just reached out on Instagram and said what I was doing, and can I just like source from some of your images and that sort of thing. And he just came back and said, yeah, sure, no problem. And I suddenly thought, oh, he's just a person, isn't he? He's really like us. So put them up so high, yeah.
Yeah, that's a massive breakthrough. And because now you've done that, you won't fear approaching someone else in the future. And also, you could have spent months deliberating over that and seeing the pictures, and it was just one simple message, going and the yes, and there you go, it's done. And I think we can spend too much time in our own heads, creating a fake conversation that you could go back to him and he could just say, who do you think you are? And then I'd go back and go, I'm sorry, and this kind of
that's me.
problem of me contacting him. How could it turn out? So I'm glad you raised that, because I know for a fact there'll be people listening now who will be sitting there feeling like they want to contact someone, but it's just too terrifying. So I also like that you kind of alluded to doing art as going into art with maturity, shall we say, because I studied art as a mature student as well, how it gave you that kind of all the experience and a different looking at it. Because I had somebody comment on one of my posts yesterday saying, do you think there's an age limit, and do you think that, I just feel that I'm too old now to start this? And there is just no age limit on being an artist. There really isn't. And I think we are like a cheese or a wine. You do, as you get older, your art develops, the experiences that you bring to your art develops. So you're right in that. You do bring, looking at it as you grow older.
Yeah, I feel like I keep looking at my age, and then I think, oh no, I've got lots of years left. I've got a whole another career now. I've got plenty of time for another career. So I don't think there should be an issue around age. So.
No, I don't. And in fact, our oldest member inside the hub is 80 this year, and she just started selling her art last year. So it doesn't matter, does it?
No.
So anyone who's listening and has that question, there you go. Lots of people saying so true. The worst conversations are the ones in my head. Kind of predicting an outcome. I do that all the time, and I have to stop myself from doing it. Anne is saying, that's so great that you reached out to this artist with a simple message and got a yes and a revelation that we are human. Exactly. And Thomasina's saying as well, I thought mindset, I'm sorted, no negativity, but it really irons out the creases, not rushing it, believing systems don't arrive overnight. It does take time, and it is about reprogramming and becoming self-aware, and you can't do that overnight, can you? It's as a hub, because it isn't just a course that you can do and just get results within a few weeks. It is like Pavlina said, it's a lifestyle, and it's a way of living, and encompasses so much about ourselves and our lives. So
I think the other thing I sort of started doing, and I know I was talking to my sister about this as well, about the visualization technique and the affirmations, which I've really only started doing in the last couple of months, which I don't do it every day. I'm trying to do it every day, but I'm sure they do have an effect, because you are sort of developing your mind and changing, framing things differently and everything. So
yeah,
you know, I know you kept saying in your courses, oh, it all sounds a bit woo-woo and things, but actually it works really well if you keep at it. Yeah,
it really does. And I say that because when I first came across all of this, I thought this does sound a bit woo-woo, and you know, kind of putting all your dreams on a board and imagining it happening. But I just thought, you know what have I got to lose? I'm going to try it anyway. And yeah, well, it was almost spooky. And I even remember saying to my husband at the time, that I've been told if I do this and I kind of visualize it happening, things are going to start to happen. So let's put it to the test. And I spent a month doing the visualizations and what I'd like. And then the month after, it all just started happening.
yeah.
And my husband was like, oh my gosh, this is really scary. Like, yeah, what is happening here? So the brain is so powerful. And that's kind of what I learned in lockdown is the only thing that we can control are our thoughts. We don't have control over anything else in life. Literally, it is our thoughts that we control, and that's it. And so the more work that we can do on that, in terms of how we react to things and how we think about things, and be more self-aware, like you say, you think that you have a positive outlook, but when you start to look at how you really feel and the decisions that you're making, and you see that you are actually holding yourself back, I think it's just such a big revelation to have there, and you can do something about it, which is the exciting thing.
Yeah,
it's great. Okay, so I'm just going to nip back around each of you, just to see if there's any words of advice. Karen, I'm just going to unmute you before we go. Just if there's any words of advice for anyone who is maybe in the situation that you were in. You know, when you're going through some really, really tricky stuff in life, and you can't see the way out, and I just wondered if there's any advice that you have, just being more settled now. Is there any words of advice you can give to someone who's in that situation?
I think for me, I've had so much therapy in my life. It is unbelievable, to be honest. But I found a really good technique was writing stuff down, getting any anger out or anything like that, and then burning it. Don't send it to anybody, just burn it. And it was really helpful for me. I've had a few light bulb moments as well lately. I saw a video on YouTube of a guy that I follow, and it really resonated with me. He said you can concentrate on all different things. So bit of counselling, bit of art, bit of doing this, doing that. And it said you're laying the bricks, but you're expecting a mansion to appear. You need to build a good solid foundation and be consistent, because you're doing all these different things, but you're kind of expecting them to all connect. Whereas you just need to focus in one kind of direction, really, or more towards that point. So that's the sort of advice that I would have, really. And just don't take anything too personally that people say. Don't worry about what people think of you, because they're too worried about what people think of them. So I was always a bit of a worrier, but I'm pretty much chilled
you
these
sound
days,
it as well. You know, I feel very relaxed when I'm talking to you. I just
well, if I find the link, I'll post it up, because it was just you know, just light bulb moment. Sort of realised quite a few things. I just randomly stumbled across it as well, but it seemed that I was meant to see it for a reason. And since then, I do feel like my mindset has changed.
Amazing. Oh, I can't wait to see where it all takes you, Karen. I'm so excited. Thank you. I think that's amazing advice. Thank you for sharing that. Pavlina, I'm just going to head to you. And have you got any advice for anyone? I'm just thinking back to what you were saying about focusing. And you know, I like this concept of this lifestyle and bringing it all together so that you just have more simplicity and focus and clarity. Do you have any advice for anyone who hasn't got that yet? You know, I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. I think one important thing was which is very very clear throughout my research as well, you know, not just the art practice, but also the research, is that people sometimes struggle so much to find out what they are called to do. And they feel, I think it's very general, they feel that they have to decide something and then start from scratch. But it usually doesn't work like this. It's more about being focused, not being focused, being attentive to yourself and to find out what you are already doing. Because this is your gift, this is your charisma, I would say. And you don't start from the beginning. It's something which actually you have been done. You know, it's you have skills to do it. You are like, it's your talent, and you've been already working on it. You can feel it, you can see it in your work, in your approaches, in your techniques of life. And so it's not like waiting for something to start, but it's actually to develop something which you already have, and what you love. And also, don't be scared by professionalism. It's something which is all around us, and it just stops us from doing our own things, because people feel like my work's not good enough to reach this point. But your work will never be good enough, because you will always find something which you see, it's like, wow, this is something. And this is just nonsense. Don't compare yourself with anybody else. Compare yourself with yourself. And this is how the development happens. So don't be scared to do your own way, to find your own language, and just play with that. And if you make living from it, it's just a benefit on the top.
I love that. I love that point of thinking of it as not a starting point, but something you already have. Because you're right, as an artist, we're bringing everything that we've felt and done and seen and to that point we're at. So we've already got skills, you know, we just haven't recognized them yet.
Yeah, it's the creative approach we use, and we use it probably for everything we do in our life. So it's just being attentive to this creativity and to follow it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Pavlina. That's amazing. Thank you. Angela, I'm just going to unmute you. So I just wondered if you have any advice for anyone who's watching. I guess in terms of, because we've talked around mindset, I just wondered, is there anything that you think has helped you become more self-aware? Because you're starting to get into that stage now of recognizing the thoughts and the way that you're reacting, which I think is brilliant. Do you think there was something that shifted? I don't know if you can give advice to anyone who can be more self-aware. Was there anything that helped you get to that point?
I don't know. I don't know about specific. I suppose it's almost a realization that if you, I think the things you say quite often, you do what you're passionate about and not think about what other people want. So that passion can come out and people can recognize that. And then I know you talk about finding our who, and then you'll link up. That's what really struck me when I joined the hub, was not not knowing what you want, knowing what you enjoy doing, what you find passion in, and then somehow there's going to be somebody out there who's going to have, you know, find that same passion when they look at your work and that sort of thing. So I suppose it's about not, I think we've already said, it's not about thinking what other people are thinking about you all the time, and it's driving forward with what you want to do and focusing on that. And I suppose there's this little element about being a little bit brave as well, because artists, you know, it might sound like a generalization, but we're quite sensitive and we don't always have that blag about us. And it's, you know, stepping outside of your comfort zone and reaching out to other people who can help you. So
because it's personal, isn't it? What we're doing is so personal. You know, compared to any other industry, we are sharing ourselves, our soul, our and so that brings up a lot of vulnerability and a lot of fear. So there is a lot of bravery around being an artist, for sure.
And I think, and then one other thing, which is because of me, is the discipline sort of element part of it is really, you know what you're doing, and you know you can do more, and just make that time. So
that's a really good one, because I've heard a lot of people saying this week that life's taking over and things are getting in my way. But if you carve out that time, and even if it's just an hour, Rachel Jackson is one of my members, and she's just turned to full-time artist in July. And I was reading her Instagram post today, actually, where she said that, Angela, about, you know, you've got to have that dedication and you've got to find that time. And she always made excuses saying, oh, I've got this to do and I've got that to do. And she said, I had just decided I am going to go for it. I'm going to go for being a full-time artist. And she had a full-time job, and she made the time each night, and she worked until midnight. And I remember when she was doing this, making her cups. And now she hasn't got that job anymore. She's a full-time artist. And so it was from that dedication, like you say, even if it's just a small amount of time, like I started out with an hour a week at the beginning, to be dedicated towards it, it's going to make you go forwards and grow the time, and each week and each month, till one day it'll be a full-time thing, if that's what you want. Of course, you don't have to do it as full-time. So yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Everyone is asking for your links, so please put your links to your social media, everyone that's on. I'll make sure that we put them in the comments above as well. I really, really appreciate you all being here. So many people have said how wonderful this has been, just to hear from other artists and hear that your stories, it's just helping other people feel they're not alone, and we're all in this together, and we're all going through the same things. So thank you for taking your time out today, because I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining. I will see you all tomorrow. We'll be making some art together. We're going to put together and have a little bit of a studio session live. But thank you, Angela, Karen, Pavlina and Laura, and everyone who's watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye. See you.
Bye.